Hi, my name is Matt Philippi, and this is a demo on how to connect Microsoft Power BI to a Apache Spark cluster on Azure HDInsight. You can find me on LinkedIn at CPA and Business Intelligence Architect. Also, you can find me on YouTube. I have a channel. If you go out to YouTube, just type in my name. You'll find my channel here. If you'd like to subscribe, I have several different playlists here: Azure, Microsoft, and Power BI Tableau data connectors, and then AWS, Google Cloud, and Azure. So several different pieces here. This could get a lot more complex than it is, but essentially the pieces are a Spark cluster on HDInsight, Hive, Zeppelin Jupyter notebooks that we can use to send code to our Spark cluster, and then Power BI as our analytics application. 7 steps. First, launch a Spark cluster on HDInsight, then connect to that cluster using Power BI. Run some code on Zeppelin using Zeppelin and Jupyter. Also, we're going to create a view in Hive so we can run a predefined SQL statement instead of downloading entire tables. Then we'll create a visualization. Then we will delete the resource group in Azure so that we make sure that we stop using and paying for all the resources that we launched. Warning, my standard warning, I won't be necessarily using security and cost best practices. It's your job to know that, and if you're going to use those services, then you need to learn about that and understand it yourself. Step 1, we're going to launch the Spark cluster on Azure HDInsight, and so I'm over here. You're going to want to go to the portal. So click on portal and then follow the login. I'll pause it while I get logged in. Okay, now logged in. So I'm going to go to the plus here. I type in HDInsight. I'll select HDInsight there. Go down here, create. Okay. I don't like the quick create, so I'm going to click on custom there. Power BI Spark demo. So this is a universal namespace. It needs to be unique, and it will tell me if it's unique. While I'm doing that, I will click on the cluster type. So we're going to be doing Spark, and then we want 1.6.3, the default here. And what's important here is you need to use this, otherwise the Jupyter is available in all of these. Zeppelin, I believe, is only available in 1.6.3 right here. So stay with 1.6.3, select. Okay, this is important. So cluster login username, I'm going to just stick with admin, and I'll put in my password. Okay, so this is SSH. We're not going to actually be using SSH to log into the master, but we will be using these login credentials to log into some other services, Zeppelin and Bari. And then resource group. So I love this. Power BI Spark demo. That will allow me to, when we're done, delete all the resources so I make sure that I'm stopped paying for everything. Click next. Still validating here. Okay, create new storage account, Power BI Spark demo. Okay. Okay, again, this is universal namespace. That says it's okay. Okay, I'm going to hit next. No applications. Cluster size. Okay. So really, I'm just going to stick with this. You can go to smaller cluster sizes. You can, try some different things here. But really, if you go too small, then the cluster, the resources, the resource manager has a hard time managing them all. You can actually go to view. There are cheaper ones here. But I'm just going to stick with what's recommended here for right now for this demo. $6.49 an hour. I probably won't even use this an hour. It rounds up, so it'll cost me $6.49. It's possible for me to save some money, but I just want to make sure that I have enough resources. So that should be good. I click next. Summary, it'll validate what I have here. And then I'm going to create, and then I'll go to the clock here, stop the clock. My guess is it'll be almost exactly 20 minutes, and I'll pause the video while it does that. Okay, that took almost exactly 20 minutes exactly, just a little over, and that seems to be the magic number these days to get the cluster deployed. So here we are. Here's the cluster overview, the main page, 20 minutes. Step 2, we're going to connect Power BI to the cluster. So I have Power BI open here. So I'm going to go to Get Data. And the first thing I just want to point out here is go to File, go to Help, go to About. And I am using Power BI as of July 2017. So if you're using a version earlier, it may or may not work. And if it doesn't work, I recommend upgrading to the latest version. So before I go to Get Data here, I'm going to go back to the cluster homepage overview. I'm going to go over here to get the URL. I'm going to click copy. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to say Get Data. I'm going to go, you can go find it down here, you can go find it in Azure. I'll just find it down here, HDInsight Spark. Okay, then I'm going to paste this URL in. We are going to import. Direct query is dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. You need to be really careful. With that said, we're going to use import for now. Hit OK. Okay, this is the same username and password when I created the cluster. It would be the same one that we would use to SSH into the master node, but we're not going to do that. So hit connect. Okay. And then it's going to, so this probably take 10 or 15 seconds. I'll pause it quickly. Okay, yeah, just need to be patient. It was 10 or 15 seconds. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is, you can see here, we haven't actually even done anything in Spark yet, but there's a table here and a data here. So that tells me that we are actually connected to Hive and not connected directly to Spark and the data frames in there. So I'm going to check the box here and then pause it real quickly. See how long it takes to get some data in there. Okay, that was about 10 or 15 seconds. You just have to be patient. So I can see the data loaded okay in there. So that means I think we're ready to continue on here to the next step. Step 3, we're going to go out to a Zeppelin notebook and run some code against a data file to create our own table in Hive that we can use to get data from Power BI. So go back out here to the main page here. You're going to go to Cluster Dashboard. I'm going to go to Zeppelin. It's going to ask me for my login information. Same as for Power BI, same as what we put in. Oh, it already says I'm good. Interesting. Okay. So I'm going to go to Scala, and I'm going to use BI Tools. Okay. And then the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click Save. Okay. And then we have some Scala code down here. So Livy.Spark means that we're going to be using Scala and not the PySpark API. We'll do that in the next step. It's going to create an RDD using this data file out on Azure Blob Store, which is obviously public. It's a CSV file. Okay, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns in the data types, and then a mapping function. First splitting based on the comma because it's a CSV file. Then a filter here because the header, the first row is a header. We want to filter out the header columns. And then the map here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which corresponds back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we will overwrite, save as a table to Hive, and I'm actually going to change that from HVAC to HVAC Zeppelin, so we can distinguish. This will create a table. Later we'll create a table called HVAC Jupyter, and then I'm going to click this button right here to run the paragraph, and it'll take about a minute to a minute and 30 seconds, usually the first time you run through it. So I'll start the clock and pause the video. Okay, that took about a minute, maybe about a minute and 10 seconds. Okay, so it's done right here. You can see right here. And then we're going to go check to see that this is in Hive. So I'm going to go back to my main cluster dashboard here. I'm going to go back up here to my main page, my overview page. And then I'm going to click on Ambari. Okay. And then I'll go up here, Hive View. All right. And then I will select Default. Okay, so there's that original table that came Hive sample when we launched a cluster. And then here's our second table here that we just created using the Scala code on Zeppelin. And I'll click on this, and then you'll be able to see these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which corresponds to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Step 4. So we're going to use the Jupyter notebook this time and run Python code. You can actually run Python code on Zeppelin, and you can run Scala code on Jupyter. There is a Python API, and Scala is what Spark is built on. So I'm going to go back to the dashboard here. So I'm back to my Power BI, my overview, cluster dashboard. And this time we're going to go to the Jupyter notebook. And so we will be using PySpark. Number 6, use BI tools with Apache Spark. It's the exact same data, just modified to use Python. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click in here from PySpark.sql, import. Actually, I don't even think that's necessary, but I'll just run it anyway and pause. Okay, you can see what it did here. Spark contacts now available, Hive contacts now available. And then the next step here is we're going to go into the next file here and run this code. Okay. And then the only change we're going to make here, save as table. This one I'll call Jupyter. And then I will come up here. So the cursor's in here. I will come up here and run this. Run cell. Let's do the clock here. I'll pause the video. Okay, great. Probably, I don't know, 30 to 45 seconds there. So you can see right here, I actually just ran this SQL show tables just to see that the HVAC Jupyter is in there. It is in fact in there, and then I can go back out to the Hive. So remember, to get there you got to go through Ambari views, Hive view, and then click here. Okay, now we have our two new tables, HVAC Jupyter, HVAC Zeppelin. Step 5, we're going to create a view in Hive so we can run predefined SQL statements instead of downloading entire tables. So first I'm going to go back out to Power BI here, and then if you hit this button right here, the refresh button, then we'll see our two additional tables here that we just created, HVAC Jupyter and HVAC Zeppelin. And then if you click on one of these buttons here, sometimes, well, that loaded quick, sometimes it takes 10 or 15 seconds, but you can preview the data and you can see exactly what's in here. Now, HVAC Jupyter and HVAC Zeppelin are entire tables. There are ways to filter data out here within Power BI. On the other hand, there's no way to write a SQL statement against that Hive table from within Power BI, at least the best that I know. So the way around that is to actually just create a view in Hive itself. So I'm going to go back to Hive here. And then I'm going to create a view. Create view. I will call this view HVAC Zeppelin 10. Let's call 10. And then as, and then I'll just cheat. I'll go out here to, we can go to Zeppelin. You can take it from here. Here's just a real basic limit 10 statement. I'll just copy that. It's also down here in Jupyter. Right here. Same exact thing. But we'll just actually create that in Hive itself. Okay. So I'll copy that. Okay. Important here because we don't have a table called HVAC. We have tables called HVAC, Jupyter, and Zeppelin. So I'll just do Zeppelin. And I'll hit execute. And it should create that view. And then see how long it takes here. Okay, there it is. View HVAC Zeppelin. If I go out to Power BI here again, and then hit the refresh button. So, okay, there it is right there. So uncheck this button right here. I'll pause this. Sometimes this takes 10 seconds, but we should only see 10 lines of data because we did limit 10. So I'll pause it here while it loads. Okay, less than 10 seconds. So this is a view, a predefined SQL statement. Okay, and then we should be okay. Step 6, time to create a basic visualization in Power BI. So go back to Power BI here. And you want to uncheck, don't want that. We want just HVAC Zeppelin check. Check that box up here. You can see, interesting. There we go, HVAC Zeppelin. Okay, I'm going to hit load. Okay, see how long it takes to load the data. Clock going here. Pause. Okay, about 30 seconds. And then of course, one interesting thing is it goes to the report tab, but I'm not sure why it just doesn't go to the data tab. There we can see 8,000 rows here. And then if I want to go to edit queries, I can just check. Okay, so that's a date right here, but I'm going to change this so that we actually have a date column. And then I'm gonna, okay, so the date, now we have a date data type. And then these are, let's see here, whole number data types. That works good for me. So I'm gonna click File and close and apply. Okay, apply query changes. So really just now taking this column and turning it into a date data type. I'll pause it here. Okay, great. So you can see it changed this column. Okay, now we're in, no further modifications needed. So I'm just going to go up to the report here. Do a basic visualization. Click date, actual temp. I don't think we want year. I think we just want month. Okay. There we go. Okay. Oh, what the heck? Make this a line chart. And then from down here, why don't we click average? And then this is the average temp over a given period in June. So this would be the first day, June 1st, June 2nd, June 5th, and this is the average temp for that day. So just a real simple visualization. Okay, the last step here, super important step because we're using Spark clusters. You leave this on, I think it was $6 an hour. You leave it on, you're going to ring up a nice bill really quickly. So boy, don't forget this step. Okay, so I'm back in the portal here. Azure, okay. Remember, I'm going to go to the resource groups. I'm going to go Power BI Spark demo. Okay, so I have actually 2 resources in here. I'm going to hit delete, and we'll delete both of those. The HDInsight cluster and that storage account that we created. Power BI, I have to spell it correct. You of course can just go up here and copy this and paste it in here. That'll work just as well. Okay, and then now I'm going to hit delete. Okay, now I can see it's actively deleting the resource group 1228. This means we won't be charged anymore. So that concludes the demo on how to connect Power BI to a HDInsight Spark cluster. A lot of different resources we went over here. Don't forget that last step to delete the cluster. Otherwise, you could end up spending a lot of money. That was step 7. Actually, delete the resource group and the cluster. You got to make sure that you do that. Again, you can find me on LinkedIn, CPA Business Intelligence Architect. If you want to reach out to me there, if you send me a connection request, just tell me a little bit about yourself, what you do, how you found me, most importantly. If you found it from this video, let me know that, and then I'll send you information back about myself when I'm interested in it. So it's a somewhat meaningful connection. And then, of course, on YouTube, you can subscribe. And then if you like this video, please hit the like button as well. Thanks for watching.